Can I tell you something that's been on my mind? I've been thinking about hate, this concept of hate. And I feel like controversial opinion, but hate is not real.
Come have tea in the rose garden with me.
I've spent most of my life thinking that there were two main forces in this three-dimensional realm. One of love, one of hate. And that was the full spectrum. That was the duality of this 3D realm. But lately, I've been contemplating whether hate is even a real construct. I actually am starting to believe that love is the only true energetic force that holds power and connection to source. I think hate is an elusive construct that we've labeled, but really what people are feeling is deep anger, deep sorrow that's been misplaced. I've done my own experimenting with the two forces of love and hate over the last couple years, because when I first started releasing my cosmic pop music, which was 2 years ago, I experienced quote unquote hate in a way that I truly was not anticipating, was not prepared for, and did not really grasp the depth of how angry and hurt so many people are until I started releasing this music. You see the minor version of it in comments. I'm used to people calling me crazy and ugly and psychotic and blah 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 on drugs, blah 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 blah. That's in the comments. But in my DMs, I'm getting death threats. I'm getting people describing how they want to murder me, and it's terrifying. And even then, I can feel so deeply the force of love because I see these people as being incredibly hurt. It's so interesting to experience so much hate online firsthand, and then to realize that even when I read the things that break my heart, that make me so sad, that really hurt my feelings, that make me cry for hours, I still do not feel the emotion or the need to hate them in return. In fact, the emotion of love, the vibration of love, the force of love invites me that much further into the vortex of how can I love this person in return? I think if we all started viewing the world in that way, that like love is the only true force and hate is unresolved anger, it's not actually the polar opposite force of love. Love is the only force. Hate is when we don't know how to let the heaviness move through us. Hate is when someone is so unhappy in themselves that they don't know how to transmute that anger and that sorrow and that guilt. And so they lash it out through this construct of hate. But what if we dissolved that construct? What if we put an end to that old story? What if hate did not exist in this new world? Maybe anger, yes. Anger is a valid part of the human experience. Anger is a valid part of the earth experience. It's one of the reasons some souls come here is to experience the heavy density of anger and sadness. But that doesn't mean feeling these emotions and honoring these emotions needs to equate into a hateful way of living. It means that every one of us now has a responsibility and a choice to choose ways to express and transmute and release those densities, letting them move through our bodies, our physical avatars, letting them move through our energetic fields, learning from them, but releasing them so that we do not get caught in this like tornado vortex of what we call hate. Imagine what the world would look like if we could recognize in one another, you're going through something, I'm going through something. You don't know my pain, I don't know your pain, but we can recognize that we are in this earth experience together, and we can release and express these dense emotions and then let them go, because love is actually the only force. Love is the only force. The more hate that is sent my way, the more I realize my capacity to love. And it doesn't make the hate any easier, but it helps me to have compassion for all of these people that are trying to tear me down and scare me, intimidate me, make me feel small. Whatever it is that they are lashing out at me is just a projection of how they feel inside. And so I can have the unconditional love to transmute that hurtness that I feel when I receive it, and to transform it into a capacity of compassion, to send love back to that person. No part of me is called to send hate back to that person. That feels so icky. Love feels good though. When I interact with these people and I show them love, I see them transform immediately. Even when I don't interact with these people, because, sometimes when a video goes viral and hundreds of thousands of people are tearing me to shreds, I don't have the bandwidth to interact with all of them and try and send them love and be, an example of kindness. But energetically, I will send an umbrella, like an energy umbrella to all those people in that video that were trying to insult me or whatever it was. I will send a blanket of energetic love to all those people, just reflecting their beauty and their magic and their love back to them energetically. And I've noticed over the last 2 years, like, this experiment works. Love is the strongest force. Hate actually doesn't exist. We give it power to exist, but we could dissolve it entirely. That's my theory. I believe it. I believe it. I believe that humanity is remembering the power of the heart. Humanity is remembering our interconnectedness to everything, to nature, to the cosmos. We are all conduits. We are all a mixture of so many layers of energy. I dare you to experiment with the forces of love and hate in your own reality. If you're feeling a sense of hate being projected onto you from the external world, like, I so invite you to transmute that hate and to turn it into love and compassion for whatever the pain is of the person that projected that at you, and leave it at that. Send blessings, send love, walk away. And it solves these samsaras so much faster. Like, love, I'm telling you, love is the only way. I say it in my songs, like, love is the only way. And I'm not like la di da di da, love is the only way. I struggle with depression. Let me tell you, like, the week leading up to my moon cycle, I get severe depression and insomnia and anxiety, and it's something that I'm healing on a core level. So I know it's going to take time, especially with Eastern medicine. Sometimes it's a longer path, but you heal the source instead of the symptoms. So I'm being patient with this process. But that 1 week of the month is like a portal to Persephone, right? Of, like, understanding the underworld, understanding the heaviness of this realm, of being an alien, being a human, of knowing that God, goddess, and divinity and source is ever present, and also struggling and feeling sad and feeling angry. So every time I go into those phases and I feel the depths of those emotions, I remember it's important for me to process that density, whether I'm turning it into a song or a video or a screenplay, or I'm working out, or I'm in nature, or I'm hugging a loved one. Whatever it is, I let that density move through me. And it's not overnight. Sometimes it takes freaking months, sometimes it takes years. But I remember that I either have the choice of letting those dense emotions move through me and transmuting it into love, or it will be suppressed and pent up and could turn into hate, which again is an elusive concept. I'm just going to say hate is something we created in the 3-dimensional realm. I actually don't think it's real. And you know what? I'm going to tune in with my next connection with the Arcturians and talk about that. Ask them that. Like, they've always taught me about the power of love and unconditional love and love of source and love of the universe and love of multiverse. But I've never outright asked them, is hate an opposing force of love or is it not real? And love is actually the only thing, and all of this other stuff is an opportunity to reflect and heal and upgrade. And it only turns into hate and it only turns into disease when we're not letting it move, when we are not alchemizing it, when we're forgetting that we have the power to transmute anything in this realm into love, because love is the through line. Not once have I ever wished reciprocal hate on anyone that has sent it to me, because I don't find that to make any sense. Why send hate back to somebody who is so vibrationally riddled with it within themselves? They don't need it from the outside world, they need love. If love was reflected back for every ounce of hate, like imagine the world. And I know I'm sitting here in my rose garden, I'm drinking tea, and I look like a hippie. I'm like, love, love, love. It's the time old tale. But I truly believe in a practical sense that love is much more powerful than hate. Hate is anger that is compiled and hid and suppressed and stored in the back room instead of using it as a tool of alchemy to take the heavy, dense vibrations of this realm and turn it into love. Love in its simplest form. Love is the foundation of when you're feeling joyful, when you're feeling kind, when you're feeling generous, when you're feeling sparked, when you're feeling happy, when you're feeling grateful, when you're feeling community, when you're feeling connected. The underlying root of all of that is love. Love is where we want to be operating from. And so, again, I challenge you to just experiment in your own reality. Like, if any hate or anger or something is projected onto you, alchemize it, visualize yourself as a wizard using the power of the violet flame, transmuting that hate into love, and send it back to that source, wherever the hate came from. Or if you're feeling hate within yourself, remind yourself it's actually anger. It's anger that I have not expressed. It's anger that I have not released, that I have not let move through me. And then you have to ask yourself, how do I release it? Is it through physical exercise? Is it through being in nature? Is it through transmuting it into creation? Is it through having connected conversation, But give yourself the outlet to feel the density and then to transmute it, because love is actually the only force there is. Love is our superpower. Hate doesn't have any grounds to stand on. Hate's not real, everybody. Hate's not real. La da da da. Love is the only thing. Yeah. Can we give ourselves that challenge, Star Family? Whoever's watching this, can we dissolve the construct of hate? Right. So we have love, we have hate. Those have been the dualities presented to us in this realm since the beginning of time. What if we reminded ourselves that love is actually the only force, right? This is anger. This is in the same realm as sadness, grief, anxiety, feeling lost, feeling hopeless. These are all sub forces, but it is not the force. The love is the only force. Okay, so we're going to dissolve hate as the opposing construct. We're going to remind ourselves that love is the only force, and that anger is just one of these lower density vibrational experiences that we need to look at and that we need to be patient with, but that we can heal and resolve through love. Through love, because love is the only force. And again, love on a practical level doesn't have to be super romantic or Shakespearean, like love of my life. Just feeling the love in your heart, feeling the love when you feel comfortable, feeling the love when you feel at ease, when you feel safe, when you feel protected, when you feel authentic, when you feel embraced, when you feel appreciated. Love, we all know the feeling in our heart. It's that split moment of presence. And you know what? I'm going to go out there on a limb and say sometimes the densities that we're feeling aren't even ours. Sometimes there actually isn't anything to psychologically analyze. It's the collective, it's the density of this planet. The important thing is to just recognize that it's sitting in us and it can consume us, or we can transmute it and alchemize it and not let it get to this illusory place of hate. Do you think we can do it, Star Fam? Do you think we can dissolve the energetic force of hate, or at least bring it down some notches so that we remember that love is actually the only force? Even in the times when I feel sad and angry and lost and overwhelmed, I remember that love is the baseline, and all of these heavier, dense emotions and experiences will move through me if I allow them to. And that hate's not real. Until next tea time, I love you.